Hello there. Welcome to Alchemize Yourself Tarot. You are in a deep soul connection, and these soul connections exist and manifest to teach you lessons. Your soul lesson from this particular connection is in regards to your perception of your value and worth on the earthly plane, based on how you give and nurture others, how useful and resourceful you can be, how you show up for others. But I believe the true lesson here is being open to receive that same level of care, the same level of care that you give to others. Like learning how true reciprocity works and how true inner value works. And the magnetic pull here is this person brings you out of your comfort zone impulsively. It's about impulsively giving that away in a new beginning, based on attraction or ego, or doing something risky, doing something that doesn't feel altogether comfortable for you. Because the Fool in reverse, usually upright, is, having full trust and faith, just going for it. But there's something about this connection that is impulsive or risky, that it ungrounds you in some way. That's the magnetic pull. That's the trigger. And you're giving this new beginning. It's coming from a feeling of self-abandonment. I feel like there's this temptation to self-abandon, to betray yourself, to betray your own value and worth in some way. It's like you can do a lot of work on yourself, and all it takes is, a particular person to trigger that wound. I think this person triggered a wound of you always just jumping right in, doing something risky. And it's not necessarily about them betraying. I mean, a lot of times, endings will trigger a recognition of you abandoning yourself, you abandoning your worth, you breaking away from what you truly know and value within yourself, your own values in regards to what is acceptable in your life. So the Ten of Swords isn't necessarily just about them betraying you. It's about where you've betrayed yourself in order to seek validation and attention from this person. Because many times when we're really attracted to someone, or we're really triggered or drawn to a person, a lot of times it's operating from the shadow, right? That ego gets triggered. You want to prove yourself to somebody. You want to make something work. But you're not always in your head about it. Fool card and Knight of Wands in the reverse. There's a strong attraction, a strong desire. You impulsively do something out of character. Many of you really got pulled out of your values or your character in some way in regards to this person, because it really feels good in the beginning. It's exciting. The Fool card, the Knight of Wands, these are exciting connections. It's an adrenaline rush. But you start to question, do you give or do you receive? Should you give more? What is the expectation? Is it coming from you genuinely feeling worthy? Right? The Queen of Pentacles, Six of Pentacles, or needing to prove that you're worthy. Because sometimes people will pull back, or they'll make you doubt your worth or value, because they have a lot to gain from that. You abandoning yourself, you betraying yourself, and you constantly giving to them, that benefits them. They benefit from you giving to them, essentially. Like, that's part of the game. For a lot of people, a lot of relationships play out this dynamic about what they can get out of a relationship. And the reason it's from a shadow place is a lot of people do this unconsciously. A lot of people get into relationships based on what they can get, what they can receive versus what they're willing to give, and vice versa. A lot of relationships, especially right now, or they've always been transactional in a way on the earthly plane. When it comes to getting what you want, getting the attention, all of those things, they all need to be recognized as ego desires. And when you're operating from a place of shadow ego, if somebody ends things, it affects your ego, your pride. It's not really about unconditional love. It's about, if this person betrays you or ends things with you or plays games with you, it goes back to triggering your sense of self-worth, you feeling grounded, because you're grounded within yourself when you're not in this connection. Many of you, this connection destabilizes you. It triggers that, like I said, that adrenaline rush, that chase, or that runner-chaser dynamic is usually triggered from validation of pride and ego. And you starting to doubt whether or not somebody's truly committed, what their intentions are, right? You start to question their intentions. 10 of Swords, 7 of Swords. And then you start to doubt your own intentions, because it's like, are you just wanting this person to give in order to validate you, or is it because you truly love this person? And that's usually how dynamics play out. And when you don't feel the attention reciprocated, it feels like you lost a part of yourself. When that happens, that's when you need to question whether or not it's ego playing a role in it, or is it true self-love. Because you're not able to truly love and show up as yourself for somebody else if you don't have that solid sense of self-love. The growth potential for connections like this is they can be, you might have the house, the home, you might get what you want as far as financially or materially, but many times there's this feeling of self-betrayal. Many times I see the Ace of Cups is overflowing unconditional love and self-love, coming from that place of your cup is full, but your cup is empty in a connection like this. Your cup feels empty because you're constantly putting that worth and value in the hands of somebody else, whether or not they're showing up, whether or not they're consistent. And when they're inconsistent, you feel like your cup is empty. You feel betrayed. And so it creates a shaky ground, and you're constantly playing this game back and forth, and that game can feel very addictive. That rush of, or that hit of validation can feel like a drug. I'm getting intermittent reinforcement here. that inconsistency. You know, sometimes they're fully into you, sometimes they're pulling that away, they could care less. And that's usually how things work out, because everybody is in their own main character syndrome these days, right? Everybody's kind of, you're either the supporting character or actually in charge of your own life, taking full intention and power over your own life with the Magician. So you do have the power here, but it's about recognizing it, not from the wounded pride and ego, but from a place of true worthiness, true desire for what you want your life to look like, not just kind of floating around in somebody else's game of, because basically they have the power to make or break you, right? Because you're putting your value and worth in their hands based on what they're giving you, based on how they're showing up. And to be fair, nobody can show up 100% of the time to validate your pride and ego. That's just the truth. Just like you can't show up and abandon yourself to constantly give that person attention. You can't have reciprocity that way. And many of you are recognizing that, like the deeper layers to it. Yes, you want to have a happy home, somebody that gives, somebody that shows up. And some of you may have manifested that on a superficial level, but the question is it enough for you? That's when it becomes enmeshing. That's when it feels overwhelming and like betrayal, like you're constantly having to seek out attention, have new triggers brought up. This person could even be playing out this game. It's like they're, withholding offers, not getting the offer that you want. It feels like a game, a competition. It doesn't feel like you can truly sit in the reciprocity of the connection anymore when two people are operating from this. And sometimes people will come in your life and they will, trigger that reaction in you, that wound in you, because they have the same kind of wound. So I'm gonna pull some more cards. Something I've been sitting with too here is, about being in the frequency of love. They are aligning to the frequency of love and operating at a high frequency vibration with openness to receiving. See, that's where the openness to receiving from the universe comes from. But you're going to have to align with divine love in order to truly align with this power. I think there's something to do with the frequency of love. We're not talking about superficial romantic love here. This is about being able to receive divine love beyond the ego. So this is a deep spiritual truth that you're recognizing. And despite the distance between you and this person, there's a strong energetic cord. They still feel the energetic cord that is keeping you two connected. So there's a strong energetic draw, magnetic draw here, because I think you're triggering this same reaction in one another. Both of you could have wounds in regards to everything being transactional. It's like you're only desired based on what you can do for somebody else. And when that doesn't work out, there's this sense of wound within the ego. So many times these soul connections, you're mirroring these wounds when it comes to value and worth. So it becomes tricky because you're both kind of being pulled into that lower vibration of the ego and then the divine truth, We are helping this connection evolve to see things as they really are and bring to light all that's been hidden. So seeing something for what it truly is on a higher spiritual level, on a higher frequency. Because it's not always about the other person. It's about what they're triggering in you. And that's what you're truly here to alchemize. Because you want your vibration and frequency to be on a high level, because you're trying to manifest. You're trying to manifest things. So I'm going to go a little layer deeper into what this person's thinking and feeling. What are they thinking and feeling in regards to you? Because you're trying to ground yourself. You're trying to feel worthy, not just from a place of wounded ego, but from a true self-love, unconditional love, loving place. What is this person truly thinking and feeling, and what are their intentions? Because this could be something you need to be aware of in order to know what they're triggering and mirroring back to you, to recognize what's playing out here. Yeah, they're definitely gaining a new perspective. Right? They're ready to move out of a place of stagnancy. They're ready to see something from your point of view. They may have recently had divine truth, a divine awakening in regards to you. And it's causing them to feel like they need to take action. They want to communicate their truth. So they're receiving the truth, now they're wanting to communicate something. Because they feel the energetic cord as well. So they're feeling this need to talk. Also, they're starting to feel what you said or communicated to them. So if you communicated or ended things, they're starting to understand what you said. Maybe they didn't understand you at first. But this new understanding makes them want to take action in some way. And yeah, they're seeing your truth. You were right about something. It could be that something was imbalanced and unfair, and they're seeing you on a more neutral level. Some of you have balanced out your energy. You're seeing this from a neutral perspective. You're seeing it from both sides. But at first, maybe this person did not see things from your point of view or from your side of things, right? So they're seeing you as you're balancing the scales. You're like, look, you're not going to just continue to unconditionally give and give and give and play this game. You're not going to try to prove yourself to this person in order to receive from them. Because maybe they were expecting you to continue to prove yourself for validation. Sometimes that's what people are doing. They're seeing how much you can abandon yourself. How much are you going to willing to prove yourself? You're not doing that. You're balancing out the scales. You took your power back in some way, and you expressed this. Many of you expressed it. Maybe hastily, maybe you did it impulsively in some way, but they're starting to see the point of why you're not taking action, and they're definitely mulling over it. They definitely feel wounded. This person's still in their pride and ego somewhat. They feel like the wounded party, but it's like they know deep down that they were manipulating the situation, and they may still be playing from that lower vibration. They want to say something, but this person's also not feeling very empowered. You pulled you're actually rising up into your power, and they're feeling like they're losing control. They're feeling wounded, like they're losing power over the situation, and they don't like it. They're very agitated about that. But you're actually, deep down on a soul level, they know you're balancing the scales. They know that they were not wanting to give at the same level that you were willing to give. maybe unconsciously. But with that Hangman in the reverse, it's like they definitely want to stir up something, but they're tired. 9 of Wands, you have to understand, this person has also been through a lot, whether with you or just in their life in general. You know, both people a lot of times come into relationships with wounds and feelings of not feeling worthy or powerful or in control of a situation. You definitely took your power back, but it kind of deflated this person somewhat, and they're feeling this need to confront you about it. What's the biggest challenge here, though, for you or them? The biggest challenge is, wanting to control, wanting to have power, but they're not feeling powerful because their ego. There was an ego wound here. Because at first you were showing up as that Queen of Pentacles. You were, pouring into the relationship energetically, lovingly. But when you sense that this person was not going to reciprocate, you chose to end things because you felt like you were falling into some sort of trap, invalidating their ego. And it's balancing it out. But yeah, someone has to be at their breaking point. In order for something to change, they have to release this need to control the situation. They're going to have to reach their breaking point. The strength is they're going to have to let something go. Both of you will have to release the burden. You'll have to be willing to end whatever stress or burden has led to this. And I'm getting, you're not communicating, but you're very much energetically feeling each other's emotions. That came out twice. And, just cards that I've pre-shuffled today. You're feeling each other's emotions and thoughts right now. Very heavily. Because they're Hanged Man in the reverse. They're feeling that energy. But there needs to be a breaking point. Somebody's going to have to reach a breaking point to where they want to communicate and make something fair or equal. They're still doing it from a place of manipulation, power, or control. And on the bottom of the deck, the Empress. The Empress is creativity and abundance, the divine feminine, appreciating and honoring the feminine. In a patriarchal system, the feminine's value gets downgraded or downplayed many times. The masculines tend to siphon the energy from the divine feminine while not honoring it. And that is ending, that's changing, that's transforming, because it hasn't been balanced, it hasn't been fair. And it's not just on a material level. This is about the honoring, the love, the unconditional love that comes from the divine feminine. Not just, it's not just from pride or ego. What else do we need to know about this connection or what this person is thinking? Yeah. The glow up. You're glowing up. Yeah, the Empress. You're leveling up. You're not wanting to settle anymore. Kiss, revenge body, making them jealous because they didn't honor this. It was superficial. That you're choosing yourself. The glow up is about ultimately choosing yourself, putting that energy back into yourself. And a lot of divine feminines, a lot of feminines and women are taking their power back. They're getting their beauty back because women and feminines have always been taught to pour into the masculine. And when that doesn't happen, the ego of the masculine gets deflated. But that's what the feminine's been feeling all along. It's all been superficial, all about being useful, beautiful, like on a superficial level. And painful pleasures of love and harmship. This is thorny. This is like a really it's like pleasure and pain for this person. You bring pleasure and pain to them, but I feel like they bring that to you because the Ten of Swords has come out twice now. I feel like there's this bittersweet pain. And yeah, only you, commitment on good terms. So somebody definitely wants to be in a commitment. They want to be the only one, whether it's you or this person. This is about being on good terms, choosing one another, and it's true love, the one, feeling complete. But this has to be, going back to frequency, it has to be coming from a place of love. The higher frequency of love, self-love. Because if they don't have self-love, they're going to constantly play from a place of ego, just like you will. Because it's not coming from a frequency of higher love. I'm going to get one more card and then we're going to close out. But yeah, this is deep shadow work and spiritual work when you're working on your self-love and self-growth, because it's not just about loving yourself on a physical level. Oh, you have the hottest body. It's not about that, because that can come and go. Superficial material things, your body, your beauty, all of that comes and goes. This is deeper. We're going a layer deeper here in this message. It's about, who are you trying to what are you trying to prove? What are they trying to prove? And is it coming from a higher frequency? Because if it's only coming from a superficial egoistic level, you're going to constantly be feeding back into and feeling betrayed in some way. You're always going to feel that way when you're operating from that lower frequency. Doesn't matter how much you glow up. It doesn't matter how much money you make, because you're always putting your sense of worth in the hands of somebody else. That's the message. Unparalleled. You weren't born to compete. You were born to be. Yet comparison carves deep, tricking you into chasing a spotlight that isn't yours. Their curated version of reality was never meant to be your compass. Yeah, someone had a curated version of reality. That's many people. On the earthly realm, your whole reality can sometimes be based on competing and comparing yourself to others and proving your worth, proving yourself. Joy dims when your worth is measured in others' reflections. Yes, when your worth is measured by somebody else, it can always crumble. Drop the scoreboard and disengage from the illusion. What sets you apart is your magic. You were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to blend in. And Sage Seeker, true wisdom humbles itself. It softens the edges of the mind to let in challenging perspectives, knowing that insight often lives in unfamiliar places. Yeah, that divine truth comes from unfamiliar places. That's what you're channeling. That's the soul trigger. When you dismiss other perspectives or assume you already know, you stop listening. I think this person stopped listening, stopped knowing. Something felt blocked off. Your intuition could be feeling really blocked off. dealing with this situation. The door closes to deeper wisdom, stunting growth. Stay open, let curiosity outshine ego, and watch your understanding deepen beyond anything your intellect alone could construct. So this isn't about intellect or ego. This is about deeper soul truths. And once you open yourself to that spiritual truth, it all starts to make sense why you've been operating in a certain way. And then you can start to heal and do better and manifest better relationships for yourself. So I will leave it here. Please like, share, subscribe, and I wish you the best of luck. Yet this is about dropping the ego, not by devaluing, not by humbling your ego, but not operating from that place of needing to prove yourself in a relationship. And it goes deeper, on a deeper spiritual level. And it allows you to stop competing and comparing yourself to other people. Much love to you. Bye.